Augustinian Missionaries of the Philippines, now in my 30th year as a consecrated missionary. My previous assignments brought me home to the areas with the fisher folks, farmers, sugarcane workers, in a mission school for the poor and with the indigenous peoples. Entering into and somehow becoming part of the dynamics, culture, and life of the people, we are sent to live with and serve, have indeed led me to experience God's presence and love in so many ways. During one of our intermediary chapter, we have identified the indigenous peoples as a new priority sector, and I signed up as my sector of interest. Then came the next deployment, and with the grace of openness, courage, and gratitude, I flagged the path to the heart and mind of the Tagbanwas and later the Palakwans. Being and doing missionary is indeed a learning process in an interactive way. Foremost is the unlearning and letting go of my own previous acquired knowledge, skills, and attitude. Taking off my shoes because the ground I am treading is holy, and God was there before I said. Then, a deep realization that this mission is not mine, but God's mission, and I'm just a collaborator. Then new learning followed through. The indigenous peoples are very religious. They have their set of beliefs. They have their own story of creation, an amazing story of love of the Supreme Being. Their respect for nature is marvelous. Everything is given by the Supreme Being for them to survive and care for. The indigenous peoples have their own wisdom and practice consensus decision-making. Even in the absence of written documents, the rule of life becomes habitual and customary. This is true in their life dynamics and culture. Being a missionary and doing mission spelled out to me the virtue of love learned from the pages of the people's life dynamics by way of relating to the Supreme Being and to one another. I experienced that spell of love in one occasion. We passed by a tree full of fruits that they picked what they need and to eat and leave the rest to the next who will pass by. One of them dropped one slipper in a ravine. He threw the other pair so that if others will find it, they can still use it. Attentive listening is another missionary virtue I have learned from them that allowed me to pay homage to their otherness. Attentive listening is an important virtue of dialogue. Through a participatory approach, they were able to identify the five major problems of the community. That is education, cultural preservation, health, livelihood, organization, and ancestral domain, which includes biodiversity conservation in Mount Mantalingan protected landscape. We also did the mapping of resources. On the other hand, there were also negating effects like this fueled and triggered conflict and revealed people's real interest. With this, I faced many challenges like dangers and risk in treading forests, of crossing the rivers, and trudging the ravines. I was not even spared of being sued in court by mining companies. These are some of the constant demands of my being missionary: to face something new, to welcome the different, to heed whatever responsibilities given to me by my congregation as well as my local community, and the courage to die to something of value in my life so that new life may be born. On the hindsight, the imperatives of my being and doing missionary are my personal experience of God's love, being a person of prayer, and authentic witnessing of God's love, which has led some of them to embrace the Catholic faith. To cap, my missionary experience is a moment of my soul's encounter with the divine. In our celebration of the 500 years of Christianization, the call for us Filipinos is to give ourselves to others in love. and we are challenged to discover the mystery and beauty of God's love to a people other than we are familiar with in our Christian tradition. Thank you very much, and God bless us all.